Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Experts. We are live. We are live on a couple of channels and pages on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're also live on Advertising Greensboro. My name is Jay Vix. I am the host and producer of Meet the Experts. And really, the goal of this live stream podcast hybrid is to get to know local business owners, experts in their field, and just find out a little bit more about who they are, what they do, and give them a chance to get some content for their business. Right? That's what it's all about. And our job is to add some value to your business. If you ever want to be a guest on Meet the Experts, it's real easy. I'll give you a link at the end of the episode, but you can head on over to guests.advertisinggreensboro.com or just take a visit over to advertisinggreensboro.com, especially if you live in the Triad, where most of our guests so far have been from. And I would love to talk to you about your business and put you on. Today's guest, I'm really excited about. Jonathan's become a friend of mine over the last few months. We've kind of gotten to know each other a little bit through a business networking group. And Jonathan is with Spangler Estate Planning. He's an attorney. We're going to go ahead and bring him on up and we'll get started. So let's get Jonathan up on the stream here. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Pretty good, Jay. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to have you on. I know we were talking about doing this, and I was texting with a friend of mine probably about an hour ago, and I said, yeah, so I'm going live on Meet the Experts today, and I've got an estate planning attorney. And ooh, he's like that's like kind of morbid. He's like, it's something that nobody wants to talk about, but we all have to talk about it. And I was like, it's true. It's very
It
true.
is true.
So,
It is a topic a lot of people don't like to touch on, but it's so important, and it does a huge service to both the individual and the family.
absolutely. Well, speaking of that, and I know you're with Spangler Estate Planning. We'll go ahead and get started. Tell me a little bit about Spangler and how long have you been in business here in the Triad?
Yeah. So Spangler Estate Planning was founded by David Spangler. He's been practicing law for almost 50 years now, which is awesome. And he's been in the Triad the entire time. He started out his career doing a little bit of bankruptcy, and that was really his focus until the mid 90s, where he kind of shifted his practice into the estate planning world, where he focused on not just the planning, but also estate administration, and has been serving clients in Greensboro and the surrounding areas ever since then. I joined the firm in early 2020, so January of 2020. I've been here about 2 years. In an effort to create a transition plan. Our firm's going through a little bit of a transition right now where David is looking to semi-retire. And my role is to come in and help him accomplish the goal of wanting to continue to serve his clients instead of just shutting the business's doors, really having another reliable, personable attorney there, or maybe even team of attorneys to continue on serving the clients, and not just current clients, but generations to come. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no doubt you will too. But I find it, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I find it such an interesting and fascinating career. I mean, attorneys usually kind of like, oh, an attorney, right? But you're like helping people. You're making a difference in people's lives, and to me, that's a really interesting type of law. How did you get into that?
Yeah. So, like many other people in my profession, we kind of look back, even as young as I am, and say, wow, I didn't think I'd be doing this. How did I land here? Really, my story is I knew I always wanted to be an attorney or be involved in the legal field in some respect. Initially, at the outset of like my higher education and in law school, I really focused on corporate law and business. That was really something that kind of piqued my interest there. So I took lots of classes on that. But as you can imagine, the practical world of practicing law is a lot different than the textbook kind of study feel of it, two completely different experiences. And so, right when I got out of law school in 2018, I began working for not Spangler Estate Planning, but a different smaller firm with a team of 5 attorneys, and they all had various practice areas. So it was really neat to be able to kind of assist as an associate all of those attorneys and get a little taste of the different fields. One of them happened to be estate planning, and I knew that was where I needed to be. I enjoyed doing the little bit of litigation, the little bit of corporate stuff that I thought I was gonna, fall in love with, in addition to several other fields of law. But when I got into handling the estate matters, specifically the estate administration, and seeing how helpful I could be to a family and maybe one of their toughest times, it felt like an amazing fit. And so ever since then, I've really honed my practice on estate planning and administration, and I love it.
That's awesome. It's funny that you said that when you went to Spangler, there were people practicing different areas of law on this team. And it
Mhm.
made me think of like my role as a digital marketer, how there's people who specialize in SEO, there's people who specialize in website development, there's people who
Exactly.
specialize in media buying, there's people else, so there's all these different specialties, and me is kind of this T-shaped, general digital marketer with I absorb a little bit of all of it, right?
Yeah,
But I do think that there is something to be said for kind of focusing in and specializing in kind of your niche, right? So
absolutely.
I think I know based on your last answer where you're going to go with this, but I really, maybe even if you can get into specifics, and I know not with like anonymity and laws against doing certain things, but are there any certain things that you would say is your favorite part of your work, or maybe something you've done that was really really interesting and cool and fun for you?
Yeah. So probably my favorite thing about the work that I'm doing now is the sense of reward, not just for me, but for the clients that know that they're accomplishing something, right? We think of the legal field and we think of attorneys generally in the media and stuff like that. We think adversarial, we think
Hmm.
cutthroat, and there's this reputation out there that's what you need to be an attorney. And in my case, cases are less litigious, less adversarial, and instead people are realizing at the end of a case or at the end of working with me, hey, wow, I just really did a huge service to myself and my family. It's less of maybe a domestic case or a criminal case where no one's really happy, and you know what I mean. You did your job, but there's no reward there. And instead, here we look back and we say, wow, we put together a great plan for you. We've really dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and it's a great thing. And the clients walk out of here with a smile on their face, and they can rest easy at night, and in turn that helps me rest easy at night and feel like I gave them value in some way. So that's probably my favorite part of my job.
That's super cool. My wife and I, we had done our wills a while back, and just kind
Mhm.
of we started thinking about it. We adopted our daughter, and so we had done our wills prior to that. But then once we adopted, we realized, well, we need to go back in now because there's a lot that's changed.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, if somebody doesn't have a will or doesn't have a plan, I know there's no time like the present to get started, but what do you think sometimes is the hesitation for people to want to go and do that?
Right. So that's a great question, Jay. I think there's two answers to that. The first being that people don't want to have that conversation. You know what I mean? Do they really want to sit down and say, "Well, what's going to happen when I pass away?" Not only that, what's going to happen if, I may become incapacitated. I'm still
Mhm.
alive, but I can't make decisions for myself. People really don't want to address those kinds of situations. So it's really hard to encourage folks to say, hey, let's have the conversation. Let's talk through, the meat of it, and let's put you at ease. The second point is probably lack of education. A lot of folks come to me for estate planning only after they've had a really bad experience in estate administration, in probate, working with the courts on maybe a family member's estate where mom or dad or brother or sister didn't have a will. And so, lack of education in the sense that if they don't have that experience, they might say, well, who cares? I'm going to be passed away, or it's going to go to who it needs to go to. And they don't understand what North Carolina law treats your case as versus
Mhm.
what your real desires may be. So those two things are really what I've seen most, that really kind of people are hesitant to get a
Mhm.
state plan because of those things. And so when I work with clients, I really try to show them that, what they're accomplishing with it, how they're doing a great service to their families, and how they can avoid the troublesome, probate experience for their families by doing the planning.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that you said in there was just um, kind of making it easy for them, or making it, a little more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
And that's important. I have no doubt that you can definitely do that. So we know we're talking about we've touched on wills and estate planning. So what are just well, two things. One, if anybody's watching live, I know we've had a few viewers popping in and out. If anybody's watching live and you have any questions for Jonathan on the spot, he's agreed to answer some questions. So if you have questions about wills or trusts or anything, go ahead and pop those in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook right now. Also, if you have any words of encouragement or funny stories, go ahead and share those as well in the comments, and we can always see if they come up after the fact. Jonathan, I'll make sure to get it over to you so we can get an answer. But
Perfect.
when we're talking about some of these issues that you can help with, and this is why I brought that idea to post questions in the comments. What are a few common types of issues that you can help with?
Sure. Yeah. So, as I mentioned previously, just generally, our practice is focused on estate planning. So, planning for unexpected life events. None of us are invincible. We're all susceptible to, you know, accidents and just unexpected life changes. And so, we hone our practice on the planning side and trying to prevent issues, but then also the estate administration side, where we have unfortunately experienced a passing and a family is struggling with that. And we really do what we can to help the families navigate the court system. If there are assets titled in someone's name when they've passed away, we've got to do something with that, right? We have vehicles, we have bank accounts, we have real estate, all kinds of those things. And it can be a very complex process to try to figure out what needs to be done, especially when you're dealing with, one of the 100 counties in North Carolina working through the court system. And so those are really the services that we provide, is assisting clients navigate that process, trying to make it as simple as possible, allow them the time to grieve like they need to, and really take the legal pressures off of them in that respect.
My head would be spinning. Like
Yeah.
the amount of just knowing what's going on in 100 counties, but then like let's say, somebody didn't plan, and I'm sure you've dealt with things like this, but like somebody doesn't plan and they've got a bunch of family and then they die and now family's fighting. There's a show on HBO called Succession. I've
Yeah,
only
I've
seen a
heard of
couple
it.
episodes of it. I've only seen a few episodes, but it's really like these adult kids, um, and the father is like, or the patriarch of the family is like this big media conglomerate owner, and he's old and he's trying to retire, but like the kids are like fighting and clawing about like he's not even dead yet, and they're clawing
Yeah.
and fighting. So like I just think about that, like when you must come across like it's like putting a puzzle piece together, just trying to figure out how to keep everybody calm, happy, not fighting or trying to. You're almost like the referee in a match or something, right?
That's a good way to put it, because not only do I feel like I'm the attorney handling, the legal aspect of it, but they call us counselors as well for a reason. There's an emotional aspect to it, of course, and not just in estates, but in any field you're in. And you've got to be able to be personable and talk to your client and relate to them and have that client control the other parties as much as you can. You know what I mean? Because there's a very real aspect to all of this. It's not just this is what we need to do with the court. We need to file this. Yeah, that's a huge part of it, but this is someone's life. You know what I mean? And it's very impactful on a lot of people. There's a lot of emotions involved, and so I really try to continue to take that into consideration when I'm handling any of my cases.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I never really thought of it like how they call you counselor. It's almost like you
Yeah,
got to bring somebody in and like lay them on a couch and be like, "Oh, let's talk about let's talk about what you want out of this." But
sometimes it
um,
is.
so I wanted to also ask you because I know you mentioned you have others in the practice that do different things. Do you have other people on your team as far as like on the estate planning side? Do you have others on your team?
Well, Jay, we have a team of three, so our office is very small right now, especially as we go through this kind of transition that I talked about with semi-retirement for David. But him and I are obviously the only two attorneys in the office, and then we have a paralegal named Rebecca who's excellent in assisting both of us with drafting in the estate planning, conducting research, and helping me, especially with the different steps of the probate, keeping me on task.
Nice.
So we have a pretty small team right now. Of course, as time goes on, we're certainly looking to grow and expand, bring on additional attorneys, bring on extra team members. So that's something that we really look forward to actually in this next year.
Awesome. Well, good luck. I hope you do. I have confidence you will. You're doing the right things
Thank
to get
you.
there. So now you mentioned also just for anybody who might be watching now or later in the future, wherever this ends up, you can help anybody just in North Carolina. Are you licensed just in North Carolina, or can you work outside the state as well? Or tell me more about that.
Sure. So I am only licensed in North Carolina. However, on the estate planning side, a lot of that interface I always prefer it to be in person, of course, when it comes to drafting documents and talking about, hey, what are your desires? What do you want to accomplish? Let's talk about your family. I always prefer to have meetings in person. And so, for purposes of estate planning, where it requires signing of the will, witnesses, things like that, my client base is generally pretty local, Guilford County, the triad. When it comes to probate, however, and I spoke about the 100 counties in North Carolina,
Mhm.
probate and estate administration focuses primarily on where this family member that passed away, where they lived at their passing. Luckily, a lot of the filings and the correspondence with the court, the majority of it actually can be done without appearing anywhere. And so the good thing on the probate side is that I can handle probate cases in any county of North Carolina, and I've done a majority of them by doing it electronically or via mail, things like that. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of a difference on those sides.
Cool, cool. We just had a few more people jump on, and I'll say it one more time. We're getting ready to wrap things up, but if you have any comments or questions about, estate planning, drafting a will, how to do it, what to do, this is Jonathan's the guy here, especially if you're in, like we said, if you're in North Carolina, Guilford County, especially.
Mhm.
Jonathan and his team at Spangler can definitely help you do that. And but in the meantime, I'm going to put a banner back up on the bottom of the screen. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Jonathan, I know I have it by your phone number 336-252-1033. Is that the best way people can get a hold of you, or is any other ways, or is that it?
Yeah, the office phone line is the most efficient way. We try to be very responsive. We don't charge for consultations when it comes to estate planning or probate. And so, yeah, we'll be happy to talk to you.
Well, that is awesome. All right. Well, Jonathan Parisi, Spangler Estate Planning. Man, it's good to have you on here. I was really excited to get this episode done, and or happen. May not get it done. Once we started,
I know
I
what
feel
you
like
mean.
we can keep talking. But
Yeah, well, thanks for the invite. I really enjoyed the opportunity and kind of shared a little bit about what I do.
totally. And again, if you want to get a hold of Jonathan, area code 336-252-1033, Spangler Estate Planning. Jonathan, it's a pleasure, my man, and I hope
Likewise.
to talk to you soon. I know we will, and thanks for coming on, being a guest.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate the invitation. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care. All right, that was my an interview here with Jonathan from Spangler Estate Planning. And so again, if you're in the Guilford County area, Greensboro, uh, and you don't have a will, and you're like my age, like mid 40s, you really need to get working on it. But you can start doing that stuff when you're in your 20s. It's you can change it, you can update it. I meant to go into that with him, but those are things you can update as you go. Well, that wraps up another episode of Meet the Experts. I'm glad if you tuned in today. Hope you got something out of that. Just again, as a recap, my name is Jay Vix, the host of Meet the Experts. I own and operate a digital marketing agency where we are certified partners of the world-renowned digital marketer out of Austin, Texas. And we do these episodes of Meet the Experts for free. So if you have a business and you're looking to get some exposure for your business, you want an interview or a commercial, I would strongly suggest that you take a look at the link at the bottom here. And I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the chat. It's guests advertising Greensboro.com. And if you need just questions on digital marketing, how to grow your business, maybe you are a marketing person and you want some extra training, or you want some of the best training in the world from the training that Digital Marketer offers, I can arrange and provide that for you. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And this is probably the last episode I'm going to do before Thanksgiving. So I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. And until next time, talk to you later, everybody.